I am so proud of the NBA players, Skip. I'm so proud of them.
This is the attention whore movement. That's all it is.
Hey, thanks for watching Numbskull News, and today, talking about the NBA protest. You know, the ones where they sat out for a day or two, then got back to playing the playoffs because they found out it was going to cost them money. Which I believe, I don't know. I'm not trying to say they weren't completely sincere, but I don't know. Anyway, of course, the MLB followed suit. So did the NHL. Decided to sit out some of their playoff games in support of the NBA players. The NFL decided to sit out some practices. At least not all the teams. You know, I don't even think half the teams. But decided to sit out practice for a day. Like that means shit. But that's what they did. That's kind of what this video is about. There's a couple different streams of thought on these protests. Of course, you're not going to get one side of the stream of thought according to your regular media, your mainstream media anyway. You have to go, you know, way into YouTube or wherever in order to get, you know, people that aren't walking in lockstep, you know, like some kind of fascist weird state where everyone thinks the same and has the same worldview, because if you don't, you're going to get punished. That's kind of where we're at. And so mainly I'm going to be using two examples of kind of a different sides of the coin. Two black men, both been in the sports media and involved in sports their whole lives. And two guys I'm fans of, even though, you know, politically speaking, I wouldn't say they're polar opposite, but pretty damn close to polar opposite. However, you know, I'm the kind of person you can like anything from anybody, you know, as long as your name isn't Hitler. You can find things to be fans of if you want to open your mind and experience different points of view. Like the same day, I could listen to Rush Limbaugh or Jimmy Dore. I mean, both guys are funny. Both guys make legit points. And I don't mind hearing everything from all sides. There is some bullshit. And so there's some clips I pulled just talking about the protest. And then I'll eventually get around to how I feel about it.
There's no strategy. There's no game plan. There's no end game. And that's why the NBA players, the Milwaukee Bucks, they just did it.
And what he's talking about is it doesn't seem to be any forethought in a lot of these protests. They're going out there just, you know, with their heart on their sleeve and wanting to do something. But there's not really an end game. There's not a destination they're trying to get to. Like, what are you trying to accomplish exactly? Have you wrote it down? You know, because the civil rights leaders of old, they had a goal. You know, we want to desegregate the schools. We want the right to vote. We want all the same constitutional rights as everybody else. That was the start. That was the ultimate goal, and they achieved it. They won.
There's another name that needs to be added to the list. And there's another name that needs to be added to the list. And how many more? That's the question they keep asking. How many more?
And of course, with the Jacob Blake shooting, it's really amplified a lot of bullshit. I mean, you had the George Floyd, and that's what that's what he's talking about. You know, how many more names do we have to add to this list before things change, before we can get things better? One of the main goals, as far as I understand, in a lot of these protests is they want law enforcement and policing need to be retooled. You need some major reform, and I'm all for that. Now, to defund the police crowd, they're just dumb as shit. Because I'm sorry, if someone's trying to break into your house, are you going to call Black Lives Matter? Are you going to call, you know, the RNC or the DNC? No, you're just going to get dead. Unless there's the police to call to come and save your ass. And one thing that is the truth here, and no one seems to want to look at, more police die in the line of duty every year than black people being killed by the police. More officers die in the line of duty than white people die at the hands of an officer. As a matter of fact, more officers die in the line of duty than black or white people killed by law enforcement. Yet, I don't see their fucking parade. I don't see the protests for them. I've never heard any of their names, you know. And look, there's some historic, long, deep cuts and hurts between law enforcement and the black community. That's no shit. And this is not me trying to placate. It's just facts. It's factual. That really needs to be worked on majorly. But there needs to be major changes within law enforcement in order for that to happen. There needs to be a hell of a lot more training. I mean, officers, they go into the police academy, come out, and there's not a whole lot of training after that. And think about how many officers are running around with PTSD. I mean, no, it never gets talked about. And none of this is a good sign. And I just wanted to bring this up because people on TV, you know, they're talking out their ass. Now, they're feeling things from their heart. And I think a lot of times, like Shannon, I think he's a genuine individual. I don't think he's trying to trick anybody or anything like that. This is how he feels about a lot of shit. And he's going to be truthful with how he feels. And Jason Whitlock's going to be truthful with how he feels. That's why I like these two individuals. I don't see a lot of bullshit.
Said, although we appreciate taking down a few monuments, renaming a few schools, a few buildings, we need more substance than symbols. And while these symbolic gestures may placate some, it's not nearly enough.
Is it boycotts, kneeling, all that shit, just a bunch of gestures, just symbolic gestures? What has it done? I'm trying to think of what the NBA players actually got out of, you know, boycotting a couple of days of the playoffs. And I guess some of them got to talk to the governor of Wisconsin, who said that he was going to go and get some people and he's going to talk to them. It's an election year. Of course he's going to try to placate you, or he or she. These politicians don't give a shit about you. You keep going back to them. I mean, that's an abusive relationship. All right, you're getting abused by the person with the power in the relationship, and you keep going back. It's not healthy.
The NBA players are the computer, but a computer doesn't work without software. So let's merge the two together. Let's take the players and their platform and get some resources and give it to people that can advance the ball.
What he's saying is, what is the next step? All right. And what he says here, I actually agree with. Yeah. Pull your resources together. Go after a solution. Don't just depend on the government and these governors and who the president is, senators and congressmen. They don't give a shit about you. So, but there's a lot these men can do for their communities. There's so much more these men can do. So much more than everybody can do. But no one's talking about it. And what Shannon's saying here, at least, you know, from the outset, was, I was like, wow. Yeah, pull together resources. Make sure people who can actually affect change can help out. And then he gets to this shit.
You know, the National Action Network, the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, African American Policy Reform, the Advancement Project, things of those nature.
Okay, none of those organizations are going to help black people out at fucking all. They're just not. The National Action Network, what is that? Al Sharpton's shitty organization. And I say shitty. I'm not saying it has never done anything positive for anybody. But what is its main goal? Well, let's look at the head of it. Al Sharpton, the guy during the Duke rape case, where these Duke lacrosse players, you know, they're rich white boys in a fraternity, had a big house party, had some strippers, and there was a black stripper who accused them of rape. All right, so without any court, any evidence, anything, here comes Al Sharpton waddling his ass down there to stand with this poor black stripper and talk about, oh, these white boys, it's all they do is rape our women. And bro, I mean, he went off, right? And then what happened? Well, that turned up the heat. And she definitely felt it, because then she said, I'm sorry, I lied about it. All charges against these boys were dropped. Of course, their reputations were ruined to shit, and they feel it today. But what did Al Sharpton do? Did he go and have a press conference with those guys and issue an apology? Or just issue an apology, period? No. He just snuck out the back door, went back to New York with his tail between his legs because he's a cowardly fuck. That whole organization is shit because Al Sharpton's shit. All right, and he also mentions African American policy reform. Basically, this is an outfit that wants to control the narrative about race. Not to actually go into neighborhoods and do anything to solve any problems. It never is. In the Advancement Project, I mean, they're all about, defunding the police. The same thing, controlling the narrative on race, communications, and they're all linked to the Democrat Party. All they ever try to do is get out the vote. That's the main focus of those places. Get out the vote for the Democrat Party and keep that money rolling in. And every time there's a race thing, they're going to keep hammering it like a son of a bitch because they're completely financially backed by the Democrat Party. They're being used. They're shills. They're pawns. That's all they are. Supporting. So he wants the NBA players to put their money behind these organizations that don't give a shit about black people. They're not actually trying to get out there and get anyone a job, get anyone job training, get anyone a small business loan. They're not advocating for people out in the streets. They haven't fed one fucking person. They haven't put one roof over anyone's head. No, it's to get out to vote. And vote for who? It ain't damn sure ain't Donald Trump. Joe Biden. Joe Biden, the man who wrote the crime bill, takes great pride in writing the crime bill that put how many tens of thousands of black men and women in prison? That guy? Kamala Harris, who hid evidence to keep innocent people behind bars? That bitch? I mean, you might as well have voted for David Duke. Joe Biden's done more damage to the black community than David Duke ever dreamed of doing. Shit. And when I look around, it's not just these organizations, but that's the whole impetus that's coming out of these horrible shootings, these men being killed. That's what it all boils. It seems like that's the end game, right? To get people in the polls, get them registered to vote, get them to vote. And it's not about, like I said before, it's not about voting Donald Trump. It's about voting the Democrat Party. And the Democrat Party that has done nothing for Black America. As a matter of fact, the majority of the history of the Democrat Party is, well, I don't know, they started the Civil War to stop slavery, or to keep slavery. All right, they're the ones that gave you Jim Crow, segregation. They fought tooth and nail against civil rights. I mean, the one win the Democrat Party has historically is LBJ signing the Civil Rights Bill into law. What they're not going to tell you is LBJ was Speaker of the House in the 50s when Eisenhower was trying to get a Civil Rights Bill. He was going to desegregate the schools. He was going to give you voting rights, give black people voting rights. And who blocked it? The Speaker of the House, Lyndon Baines Johnson. Why? Well, years later, he would come out and say, well, I'm going to have these N-words voting Democrat for the next 100 years, and I'll be damned if the man wasn't right. Look, by hook or crook, absolutely, get your rights if you can get them. Hell yeah. But there's no reason to have any loyalty towards that party. There's no reason to have loyalty towards the Republican Party. And there's an awakening going on, even with Shannon Sharpe. I want to give you a couple examples of what I'm talking about, of black individuals, black men, proud men, intelligent men, educated men, that are sick to death of being told one thing, voting one way, and then for some reason, between elections, nothing gets done. I think they're getting sick of it. That's what I mean by an awakening.
We put people in office. What the hell is Lindsey Graham and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer? What the hell are they there for? That's what we elected them for, is to deal with things like this. But it seems to be you put this on the back burner, deal with your personal agendas, and then when election comes up, oh, let's get a Black Lives Matter.
Everybody's, talking about get Trump out, get Trump out, get Trump out. If you vote, that's going to happen on the first day. So now what? Trump out, now what? What do we get in the first 100 days? Democrats don't seem like they got a plan. Republicans don't seem like they got a plan for us. So how the hell you going to vote for them? Make them Make them earn that vote. They can start today. They ain't got it yet. They can start today. Make their ass earn that vote, man. Stop playing with these people, and they'll stop playing with you.
And this honestly makes me so happy. Because Black America does not owe the Democrat Party jack shit. It's the other way around. They owe you. And you know what? If the Republican Party wants to start earning your vote, they need to start doing some shit to affect real change in the black community. I'm not saying that to placate shit. Everyone in the media wants to, they want to act so woke. I'm not acting like I'm woke. Alright? I'm just a realist. I'm not woke of shit. No person owes any political party their vote. And stop thinking the other side is evil, or is going to bring about the end of the world and the apocalypse and shit, because they're not. Democrats aren't that powerful, neither are Republicans. They're all full of shit. If you're a progressive, the Democrat Party doesn't give a damn about you because you have nowhere else to go. Alright, what are you going to do? You going to vote Republican? Doubt it. Same thing with conservatives. You think Republicans are scared? The GOP is scared to lose their vote? What are they going to do? They're going to vote for Bernie Sanders or some other Democrat? Hell no, they know they're not. So both the DNC and the RNC don't have to listen to those two. They don't have to listen to them at all. They take them totally for granted. And it's the same thing with black people. You think the Democrats really care? Then why does every Democrat-controlled city look like shit? Why is crime everywhere? Unemployment high? Because they don't care. And it's been like that for decades. But there's an awakening. I'm not saying black people are going to start voting Republican. Hey, go independent. Say, you know what? Fuck all y'all until you do some shit that really counts. Till then, kiss my ass. That's the best thing you can do. Or start your own party. There ain't nothing wrong with that. Start a third party, a fourth, a fifth. Screw them all. It all comes back to what Shannon Sharpe was saying earlier. His plan of action was NBA players or other athletes too. Pull your resources together and then give it to who? That's the problem. They're going to give it to organizations who aren't going to make any changes at all. Just add to the bullshit going on in modern politics. But this is why I've also included some stuff by Jason Whitlock. I think he actually has a plan for those resources that can actually do some good.
These young men generate millions and millions of dollars. LeBron James is worth $500 million, if not more. These guys have an opportunity to come together, pool their resources, start banks, start businesses in the black community, and affect real change. This is what every other community does. That's why there's a Koreatown, a Chinatown, an Italian neighborhood or community, where they take care of themselves first and then go out and engage with other communities.
Now, see, that's a hell of an idea. Because we know it works. We know it works. We've seen these different Asian communities do that. Come together, pull together their resources. To create their own tide, to lift their own boats. The Irish did it. Like he said about the Italians, they did it. The Jewish community here did it. And the Jewish communities had to do it dozens and dozens and dozens of times throughout history. These people have always been able to come back and come back strong. Because they come together, they pull together as a community. But they don't stay just them. They branch out eventually. Once they get to a level, they're like, okay, now we can engage the white community and these other communities because we're on their level, if not higher. So giving money, some Action Network, whatever, progressive black think tank that ain't gonna do shit. You come together, and it's not just the NBA. You can get the NFL players on board, you can get players of every major sport in America together to do something in the black community and pull their resources together. NFL players got the NFL itself to give money to black causes. They'll do it again. Every owner of every major sports league, they're all billionaires. They can put in on this too. the players associations of all these organizations can put in on this. Sponsors, Nike. Don't tell me you can't get $50 to $100 million out of Nike to help go into investment urban projects. And not only that, just random people all over the place. Hey, help us rise up. Invest in Black America. That could be a great slogan. And hell, people out there would, you may not have a lot of money to give, $1, $5, $10, but they'll do it because they want to help. So tell me what would help more. Give a $5 or $10 donation to Black Lives Matter so that you could try to fool someone else into voting for Joe Biden's sorry ass, or $5 to $10 to go into actually renovating a single Black mother's home for her children. Something where it's safe, looks nice, they could be proud of it. Invest in Black businesses who can then hire Black men and women. And everybody rises. Everyone does better. I mean, that's just so much the better game plan. And we've seen it work in America time and time again. I doubt anyone will listen to him, but it's a damn good idea.
Chris Webber said, we know nothing is going to change. We get it. Martin Luther King got shot and risked his life. We've seen this in all of our heroes constantly taken down. We understand that it's not going to end. He just inadvertently compared Martin Luther King to Jacob Blake, to George Floyd. Jacob Blake had an open warrant for sexual assault. That's what they were trying to arrest him for. He's not Martin Luther King. He's not a hero that's been taken down. Neither was George Floyd. And
there you go. Everyone jump into conclusions. Now, I can jump to a conclusion if I wanted to. I could say Jacob Blake is a dirty-ass rapist. A child rapist at that, because it's sexual assault of a minor. But he never had his day in court. He never will. So I can't go out there and just say he was a rapist. I could say he was wanted. He had a warrant out for sexual assault. So he had a warrant out for rape. I can say that. I can't call him a rapist. Everyone's real quick to call these officers racist. Every time some shit happens, you're racist, you're racist, you're racist. How the fuck do you know? You don't. Sometimes it might be obvious now, but you don't know. Look, guys like Shannon Sharpe, man, he wears his heart on his sleeve. He cares. I understand. And he's emotional. A lot of these guys are. But that's when they make bad mistakes. Supporting the wrong shit. Happens to everybody. As I make this video, also keep in mind what has just come out. Because everyone's like, why in the hell these officers shoot this man in the back 7 times? This sounds horrible. It sounds like murder. Then you find out they shot their tasers at him. 2 officers, different officers, shot their tasers at him first, trying to stop him from getting to his car. They don't know what's in the car. So they're trained, hey, if it turns to a situation where only one of us is going home, brother, it's going to be me. And if I was a cop, hey, I'm going home. I'm not going to be on the street dead. Fuck you. That's going to be you. I'm not doing that shit. But no one wants to put themselves in a cop's shoes because it's unpleasant. Those are some unpleasant ass shoes to walk through. But the truth about Jacob Blake is that, look, man, the officers tried to stop him. They tried to use non-lethal means before they pulled out the gun. Now the truth comes out. So why is everyone protesting? A guy wanted for rape has a warrant for rape of a minor and who resists arrest. Officers try to stop him non-lethally with tasers. Doesn't work. They gotta blast him. But yet we're gonna throw all hell up in the air just because a black man got shot. Sometimes black men deserve to get their ass shot. Sometimes white men deserve to get their ass shot. Like my old man once said, there's an asshole in every group.
They're criminals or alleged criminals who were resisting arrest and things spun out of control. Don't resist arrest, things won't spin out of control.
Now, people don't like to hear this shit. My kids, every time one of these things happen, man, whether all the way back to Trayvon Martin, to Eric Gardner, every time there was a lesson I had to teach my kids. And it was, don't resist arrest. I Taught my kids how to handle law enforcement. Yes, sir, no, sir. You know, when they're talking to you, you listen. When they ask you to do something, you do it. If they're going to place you under arrest for the most bullshit reason, you know what? You put your hands behind your back, you're going to jail. Don't fight it, because you're going to get your ass whooped. That's if you don't get shot. So don't fight it. And look, my parents were old school truck drivers. So when I was first learning how to drive, they both of them, and they never both sat me down to tell me anything important or teach me a lesson or any of that shit. But this time they did. They sat me down and said, son, look, this is how it is. You get pulled over by the cops. Yes, sir, no, sir. Don't give them any shit. They know. Because they drove all over the country. You get into these back roads out in the middle of nowhere and you get pulled over, you're getting pulled over by a state trooper. He has no backup. It's just one cop in a car. And he ain't going to take one small little chance on his life. And they both told me, hey, these state troopers will beat the shit out of you. They'll pull out that baton and just go to work on you. They're not going to fuck around, not even for a second. You give them any shit, and it's your ass. That's what both my parents told me. I don't know about you, but I keep hearing all these stories of people saying, I should not have to talk to my kids about this. Well, no, you fucking should have to talk to your kids about this. My parents talked to me about it. Do I look black to you? Hell no. But I know these lessons from two white truck drivers. So you know what? Fuck all y'all. If you think you shouldn't have to give that lesson, you absolutely should. It's a very important lesson. Tell these kids, you know what? That cop will kill your ass. That cop could beat you down. It's yes, sir, no, sir. Don't fuck around. If they're going to put you under arrest, do not resist. Don't give the cop a reason. Don't give the cop a reason. And if you do that, you're going to walk away, regardless of what color you are, regardless of who you are. You just don't understand what a pain in the ass it is for them to actually have to shoot somebody. The paperwork involved. The investigations, having to talk to Internal Affairs. They don't want to fuck with that. Not over you, not over me, not over anybody.
This is the attention whore movement. Can we move past attention whoring at some point? How many years of attention whoring do we have to do? Colin Kaepernick has all the attention in the world, has gotten it since 2016. Have things improved?
No, every time, you know, a Republican talks about this shit, they always want to bring up Chicago or Baltimore or Detroit and all the murders. Why aren't we talking about that? There's so many more black people that die in those towns by other black people than cops, so why are we talking about the cop thing? Well, the cop thing is important because it does need major reform for everybody. You know, the way we deploy officers. When you have SWAT teams raiding the wrong house and without warrants. I mean, can we at least follow the Constitution a little bit? This is what drives me crazy about conservatives, is they want to throw, you know, all the worries of the black community out the window. I'm like, well, there's millions of black people. They're talking like they're scared of the police. Let's address that. I mean, shit, I'm scared of the police. Not really of getting shot because I know how to handle the situation, but my asshole always tightens up every time I see a cop car. And it shouldn't be like that. And it's because the way these guys are forced to police the communities. Instead of serve and protect, it's like ticket and harass. That shit needs to stop. There's so many towns out there that use the police like a revenue stream. Alright, it's not actually servicing the community, it's a freaking revenue stream. That shit needs to stop. I'm sorry, I can't get with conservatives that want to just kick all those concerns out the side. No, can't do that. Where they're right, especially black conservatives are right. If you say Black Lives Matter, then Black Lives in Chicago should matter, and in Detroit should matter, and Baltimore should matter, New York should matter. Not just black people killed by cops, all black lives should matter. I think we can walk and chew gum. I think we can reform the police department and address the needs and the bullshit that's going on in certain black communities in this country. Just going out there and, oh, I know how we fix it. Register to vote and go vote. That's not going to fix jack shit. It hasn't fixed it in decades. It ain't going to now. Anyway, It's not like I know everything. I don't. Just my 2 cents. Anyway, thank you for watching the video. I'll be back with some other crap later. Bye.
Come up with a plan and a strategy. More than happy to follow along. But just running around protesting and yelling at white people, that's some straight up bullshit.